and inside was the delicate nervous system, which now, for the first time in history, was protected by a case of bone. And from then on, the main thrust of evolution has been in the development of the nervous system. As we move on up through evolution, the external changes are very clear. The gills have become lungs, the fins have changed into arms and legs. But the most important changes of all were happening on the inside. The nervous system has become unfathomably complex. And today, the most complex nervous systems known on this planet are to be found in dolphins and whales. The fact that they have more complex brains than our own suggests that they might be more intelligent than us. Though what they do with that increased capacity, we do not as yet really know. Leaving them aside for now, let us consider the second most complex nervous system on this planet, the human nervous system. One of the unique attributes of the human mind is our ability to study the world around and understand it. It is this which underlies our science, our technology, and the whole of human culture. We are, as we have seen, the product of this long evolutionary journey, through the evolution of matter and stars, through the evolution of life and simple organisms, to the stage where now, with us, evolution has reached the crucial stage of complexity whereby it can look back on the universe. Whether we are studying a stone, a leaf, or looking out into the heavens, we are the universe's way of beginning to explore itself. We are a star's way of exploring the stars. And the same could be said of our inner reflections. When we turn our attention inwards and begin to explore our own minds and discover deeper levels within ourselves, we are the universe beginning to investigate its inner dimensions. So the next question is, where is all this taking us? What's next? In the long term, over millions of years, we will probably see various physical changes, such as our brains growing even larger. But there are other evolutionary developments happening a lot more quickly. One of the dominant trends of evolution has been a progressive linking of smaller units into larger and larger units. This suggests that the next stage might involve human beings themselves linking together in some way. Indeed, this process has already begun. It's what we call civilization. The organization of the streets in this Danish village is very similar to the way the first multicellular organisms developed in the sea. This is Sun City, Arizona. The pattern here is similar to a growing fetus. And this tendency of people coming together into larger units is also happening at a much higher level. We can see it in the Union of the States in the USA and the USSR, and the coming together of the EEC in Europe. This is the natural drift of evolution, and its end result would seem to be the whole of humanity beginning to function as one single community. As well as this linking at a physical level, we are also beginning to link together at a deeper level. As a result of the information explosion, telecommunications, and the birth of computer networks, we are beginning to exchange information with each other wherever we may be. We are beginning to share our thinking. We are beginning to connect up mentally. We are beginning to link mind to mind. And as we begin to understand each other, an even deeper level of linking is occurring. A linking of soul to soul. We are beginning to appreciate our essential unity and oneness. So the next stage of evolution could be humanity beginning to link together physically and mentally, beginning to work and function on many different levels as an integrated system. Now, there are some interesting parallels between this integration of humanity and the integration which occurred at earlier stages of evolution. If we go back and consider the emergence of life from matter, we find that the simplest bacteria contain several billion atoms. The figure shown here of 10 billion is only a very approximate figure. Whether it's 2 billion, 5 billion or 20 billion doesn't really matter. But it seems necessary to bring together approximately this number of atoms in order to create the complexity necessary for them to become a living system. Similarly, if we look at the next leap in evolution, the evolution of intelligent consciousness, we find it again takes several billion nerve cells linked together in the human brain to produce the reflective consciousness characteristic of humanity, though again the figure is not meant to be exact. Now, if this turns out to be a general principle of evolution, it would suggest that the next stage, the linking of humanity into an integrated system, would involve the working together of a similar number of minds. And indeed, the human population has already reached this level. We might then think of humanity as some sort of huge global brain, a brain in which we are the cells, linked together by our growing information networks. And there are indeed some interesting parallels between the way society is developing and the way the human brain develops. The main thrust of development of the human brain takes place mainly before birth, between weeks 8 and 13 after conception. Imagine for a moment that you are a nerve cell in this growing human brain. At first, there's plenty of space. Then, very quickly, there's a massive population explosion of nerve cells. If you were a nerve cell, you'd probably think, this is getting dangerous. There's not enough oxygen to go round. We're going to be short of blood soon. But suddenly, at week 13, the explosion stops. From then on, the development of the nervous system focuses on the growth of connectivity and complexity, the linking together of these billions of nerve cells. Today, we are seeing a similar process happening to humanity. We've had this massive population explosion, but it's now beginning to slow down. And we seem to be moving into the next phase, the linking of the billions of human cells in this planetary brain. Through postal systems, telephones, computer networks and satellites, we are increasing the connectivity and linkage of the billions of minds which together constitute humanity. Now, all that I've spoken of so far is the good news. The bad news is that our rapid development is also threatening the welfare of the planet. In some respects, we seem to be very much like a planetary cancer. It's interesting that if you take a photograph of a city from the air and look at the way the city spreads out into the environment, it's very reminiscent of the way a cancer grows in the body. This, for example, may look like Los Angeles from the air, but it's not. It's actually a cancerous tissue in the human body. But take a good look at it. Notice how it's growing. And then compare it with this. Now, the similarity is more than just in appearance. If you go back and look at what causes the cancerous tendency in the individual and at what causes a similar tendency in society, we find that underneath are very similar principles.